I recognise that the country's wealth, finances, infrastructure, royal family, stature is built off the backs of countless slaves, many who never made it to their final destination. The British Empire was one of the most brutal, violent empires ever. The fact that the only reparations were made to slave owners and not slaves, leaving many wealthy people in England today still reaping the financial and economical benefits of crimes committed against humanity by their forefathers. This is what made Great Britain.
Alright, welcome back to the Sukh Singh podcast. Today's episode is on racism, and I've got a very special guest with me, Jassa Singh. We're going to be talking about racism, our experiences, where it stemmed from, and maybe some ideas for solutions moving forward. Where did racism start? So looking at Wikipedia, it basically says it's something. It came from the European age of imperialism.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And subsequent growth of capitalism. So having this idea that lighter skin or white skin is superior to darker skin, according to this, came from imperialism.
Right. Okay.
From the Europeans, Roman Catholics. This is where the idea stemmed from.
Right.
I'm not too sure about that.
I mean, it's open. It's a very open sort of. It comes in many different forms as well as racism.
Yeah.
I believe it comes in different forms in different areas of the world. So being born bred here in Britain, the colonial sort of colonialism Britain has gone through, and sort of conquered far lands, shall I say?
Yeah.
Divided and conquered, and has bring about in that sort of journey of theirs has bring about the superiority of white skin being superior to others.
This is now. I haven't got any proof on this, and I can't say this, but I think it goes much further back than that. Looking at older civilizations, even. I'm specifically going to talk about India because I know more about India than any other history.
Okay.
But just seeing now how paintings of Hindu gods are depicted.
Yes.
You've got is it Shiva that's got blue skin?
That's correct. Yes. Yeah. Yes.
I've read this somewhere. I don't know how factual this is. I can't remember where I read it. Probably on Reddit or something like that. But the blue skin, she was depicted with blue skin to hide the fact that Shiva actually had dark skin.
Right.
So because she was meant to be looked at as godlike.
Right.
They wanted to,
project a
different image of a lighter skin or something a different. They put a different colour altogether. I don't know how true that is. I might be totally wrong. Don't quote me on Hinduism.
So from the pictures, we can say that they selected the colour blue.
Yeah.
Or light, sort of sky blue.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think if you look at ancient civilization and how gods are depicted,
right,
they're always lighter skin. They're always good looking. They're always that angelic look, right?
Yes. Yeah. The sort of so-called.
I mean,
superior sort of the pinnacle of a visual.
Yeah.
A human body or as such as.
Yeah.
That sort of visual look, that visual stance.
Yeah. So I think there might be something in that where it's actually much further back than the Europeans. But I guess it went more mainstream, you can say, with the imperialism, with European Roman Catholic, the Romans.
Yeah.
Because they went around, like you said, British colonialism.
Yeah.
And even before the Romans took over everything, pretty much.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, the Spaniards, the Portuguese, Italians as well, and they basically came in and just raped and pillaged lands.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
And told everyone that, or enforced this idea that they're superior just because they're lighter skin. They have technology that these natives probably didn't see or haven't had developed yet.
Or probably had in a very sort of shall I say in a very tactical way taken what they could have and then claimed it as theirs.
Yeah.
So it's almost where that whole concept of we are number one at the forefront of human superiority. it's almost it does go quite far back. I mean, I personally can't speak on the earlier example of the Hindus, the Hinduism and stuff, because I'm not. This is the first I'm actually hearing of that myself. So, but again, I mean, you know, it comes in very many different forms, I believe, and especially from when, like you mentioned, you know, India India was being ruled by the Brits for a period of 200 years.
Yeah.
So why in India? This is why in India, that they may have the sense of white skin is superior, because through the ruling period and through that time in history, India was looted.
Yeah.
India was stripped of all its resources. The education system, the whole social classes was segregated. So, you know, this was all a cause, I believe, for Britain to become a bit more ahead of the people of the local people of the land at the time.
Yeah.
And in that showing that we are superior.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think there could be, like, even if we trace back in history, we might be able to find a point where paintings and how gods were depicted do change during this time of colonialism. It could be that, like, yes, you know, I'm not well researched on the subject, but that's a very valid point, and it could be that this idea did come from that, and because we're obviously, like, you know, how many generations after that, we just see it, you know, we don't see it fully. But
I mean, considering that India only gained their independence in 1947, so, you know, it's only not many years ago, shall I say? In the grand scheme, in the grand scheme of things, it's really recent. That the Brits had left, and you know, so that's quite interesting. I mean, and it does dissect into. I say this again and again, into many forms, and it's the forms that we need to focus on. Where, in different areas of the world where they've conquered, what sort of devastating effects have they left behind? And this is probably one of those. You know, seeing that as because in India we both clearly know that skin whitening creams are really sort of out there in the social media, out there in in schools, colleges, universities, pretty much everywhere, and it's looked upon as that is the sort of premium look that we need to go for, or we should aspire to.
Which is madness.
Which is a bit sort of confusing, and I absolutely agree, it's madness.
Yeah, I mean, the skin whitening thing they're talking about, that's madness. Like, you've got like big stars like Shah Rukh Khan, who promotes it. He's literally has adverts where he's promoting the skin whitening cream.
Absolutely.
And, like, I mean, that guy, I mean, I don't even want to get into that guy, but, like, it's so far
ingrained in their culture.
Yeah, they don't even get
and in the society that they've been brought up in. So Shah Rukh Khan, probably when he was a little kid, it's already been ingrained in his forefathers. Shall I say? You know, and it's almost like is a long lineage of time that the British have come in and sort of enforced and reorganised and reshaped the way society should be, as it was compared to what it was before they entered. You know, they caused, I believe, the largest segregation between communities, faiths, and given off the ultimate presence that, you know, white superiority is something to look up to.
Yeah, I mean, India's got their own issues as well. I mean, even before the white supremacy and the skin colour, they had the caste system, right?
Well, this is it. So this caste system, I think, is a pretty much I would say a sideline offshoot to racism. Because I believe that the caste system is internal racism. When I mean internal racism, so those cultures and those cultures, I would say that follow through with caste systems. or the caste system, sorry, there are different types of caste systems. So
Yeah,
those who follow through with it have a need to feel that they are part of a group, and they are part of a singular community. And we are far different, either better, worse, this way, that way, in compared to the others. So it's a race. It's almost a segregation between people, which divides people, which causes more separation between common ground. I believe. And I think I'm not sure if there's much positive in that, or if there's anything positive that can be come out of that. But yeah, I mean, again, it's a massive topic, and
it's a huge topic.
I
mean, there's like I can say from personal experience, like with the caste system, it's always seen that lower caste people we're talking about the Indian caste system. Lower caste people are of darker skin.
Right. Yes.
It's always been this thing, and it is internal racism. You can say, like, even within like a group of people that like have darker skin, or they've got you can say medium brown skin. In general, compared to whites, they have their own levels of racism.
Yes, absolutely.
Absolutely, So I like the term that you said, internal racism.
Yes.
Because I couldn't find a good term for it. I used to say like it's prejudiced.
Right.
Like, being prejudiced against caste because of their wealth, but really, there's also the skin color is a part of it as well. It's not just
without a question of a doubt
with the wealth.
Without a question of a doubt. Yes.
I mean, I'm just looking at something here online, which shows like a brief history of racism and the roots of it, and it does seem like it did start from Britain.
Yeah. I thought something that was deep rooted in my mind.
It's a European thing. It's like the Roman Catholics and the Europeans that basically started this idea. Went round, they kicked off slavery. They went to Africa.
Absolutely,
and made the Africans, think that they're inferior to them.
Yes, absolutely.
And then started slave trading.
I think the African people were subjected to this level of evil. This is what I'd like to explain it as. It's a level of evil and oppression, but by the oppressors, and the oppressors being the Brits. Just in recent times we've had 2020 now. So in recent times we've had the Black Lives Matter movement. We've had slave owners statues being taken down. Now I find that the Brits, to have the statue up there in the first place, I find that this is something that they are almost proud of. It's a sense of pride, and there's a sense of perhaps power, showing and representing to the wider world, whoever moves around in the areas of London or in the UK, and sees these statues and then questions, right, okay, so I think it's a value of power that they are trying to project on the people of the land, and these people could be from all over the world. So even till this day, they are proud of this whole concept of slavery and the slave trade, because this is why they have it up there.
It's mad. I mean, like, since the Black Lives Matter movement, there's been a lot of kind of information floating around, coming to light about slave trading and how it was handled and what the governments did. And the one that gets me is that as compensation for slave owners, the government were paying those families like kind of like a benefit,
absolutely,
compensation,
absolutely,
and they only finished paying that in 2015.
Yes, absolutely, and this is a very shocking fact, and it's almost, it comes to light because being born and bred with blacks, Asians and whites, heavily sort of cultured in our roots. I would say that I see the world view from a very different way from a lot of other people, so to speak. So I see that, you know, like you mentioned not long ago in 2015, the slave owners' families were being finished off paying, you know, they at that time they were paid off. So
it's mental. Just to like,
and I guess the slaves didn't get nothing.
Yeah.
You know, the slaves didn't get nothing, but the slave owners got everything.
But even
and their lineage of their family, their forwards, got all the money.
Yeah.
You see that? So
it's
like
that alone would enforce the mentality of that they are still superior.
Absolutely.
Like how, you know, when we say this term now, systemic racism.
Yes.
That is basically systemic racism.
Absolutely.
The system, the government itself, the system that we all rely on, that we will live and abide by the law and everything. That law said that slave owners should be compensated for not having black slaves anymore, or minority people slaves.
Yeah, I absolutely agree.
And people said that, like, there's white people. I've had a lot of Twitter battles recently, I tell you that. Like, so ever since the BLM movement, like, I couldn't help myself. I've been reading stuff, and the audacity of some white people, like, and the almost, I want to say ignorance, but it's not, because they bloody well know what's going on.
Absolutely.
They're not ignorant.
Yeah,
they're definitely not ignorant.
I think some people who are, you know, as I said, there's always two sides of a complete sort of package.
Yeah.
But I like to step out of that and see both sides, and then reanalyze the whole structure itself, and take my own personal view on that.
Yeah.
So, like you said, you know, the establishment here in the UK, the super elites. Those who are at the top of the society are projecting laws, rules, and policies to project that, yes, we are number one. From simply, you know, just putting out in hotspots in London, and I mean hotspots really sort of hotspots meaning places where a lot of people come and visit. So central London, let's say the complete of central London, you would say, you know, tourist areas, and at those specific areas, you would have statues of slave owners. You know, and it's just, I believe it's just a sensation of you know, elite power, elite responsibility, and elite projection of we are number one.
Yeah.
Regardless of what happens, we are number one, and we will always be number one.
Yeah. I mean,
so
it's just wrong.
I do not agree with the statues. I mean, I had many conversations, and again, similar to yourself, many sort of conversational battles, shall I say? And you know, my take is that, you know, yes, those statues of slave owners, I believe, should be in a better place, or will be better placed in a museum where children go to learn about history, where people, middle-aged, elderly, everyone at any level can go into a museum and learn about the history of the world, history about the country itself, and the prominent people of the time of history. Yeah. So I think that sort of statue, or those sorts of statues, should be better placed in museums where people can learn about the good and the bad.
Yeah. I mean, that's a very good solution. Like, I didn't think of that, but that would be a really good solution that the government could do. Just take down the statues. Don't show it as like this a celebration of power from these people, because what they did was totally wrong. I mean, like in comparison, now this is taking a tangent, but in comparison, like Rolf Harris, all these other, like Harvey Weinstein, all these people now, they're all getting called out for the bad stuff they didn't. They've done great stuff in their time. Jimmy Savile, they've all done great stuff in their time helping kids. But behind closed doors, they were fucking evil men.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And now they're being called out. So the same should be done with these slave owners.
I absolutely agree.
If they've done some great things, but if behind closed doors, or it wasn't even behind closed doors, this was common knowledge.
It was openly. It was absolutely open. I mean, Jimmy Savile, for example, was absolutely vile in his mindset to go ahead and do what he did. Now, despite the good he did for TV and media, But the reality is, what did he do with his life?
Yeah.
And what were the
What
were
type
the
of person
things?
was he?
What
Yeah.
you know, his personality, his mindset.
Yeah.
Who was he on a day-to-day basis?
Yeah.
And to go through that, people can say, oh, you know, people can sort of sugarcoat it and say, oh, he had a mental breakdown, as I've heard and I've read some
really?
places. Yeah, it's terrible. I mean, people say it was a mental breakdown. He didn't know what he was doing. Blah blah blah. But regardless of what. You know, at that age of life, you know what is right and wrong.
Yeah.
There's just no excuse.
No excuse.
So I don't believe that there is any level of or space for sympathy for him. So you know, I think it's a terrible conundrum. Really.
Yeah, I openly would say I compare the two to be a very similar crime. That it's messed up. Racism and slavery is comparable to what these guys did as well. Like
absolutely,
sexual abuse and stuff.
Absolutely,
It's horrendous. So like moving on to like more of the Black Lives Matter movement. Like, what do you think of it? Because it's definitely like caused up a lot of debate.
Absolutely, it's caused an uproar.
Yeah.
Especially obviously with the black community here in the UK. But also in America. So George Floyd, bless him, his family and his soul. But, it's sad as to it's absolutely sad. I can't even put into words how sad it is. I think it's definitely sad, and I don't feel that anybody should be subjected to the way he was handled at the time, especially by a force which is there to protect the local land of the people. So I think it's caused an uproar, rightly so. Now I say rightly so because I think it's been far too long. Conversations through different channels, through political channels, through social channels, and through different communities. Loads of conversations have been taking place. And no such great real movement has been made for the better. Now, incremental steps here and there have been made, yes. And, to be fair, largely UK is still a quite decent place to be living in. Yeah. Absolutely, I must agree.
Yeah.
But that, don't get me wrong, it has many problems that it still needs to address, and it still needs to work on itself quite imminently, I believe. So with the whole Black Lives Matter movement, in fact, it's good you mentioned this because I was while one of the protests were going on in Trafalgar Square, I and a few friends were cycling into London. Yeah. And we thought, right, okay, let's just go for a nice casual cycle and we'll see how it goes. So we actually came across Trafalgar Square is where the Black Lives Matter movement. The protests were starting, and we were stood there for about a moment of 15 to 20 minutes. We were just having a gaze, just taking it all in because there were so many people there, both of all races, largely blacks, Asians, some whites I saw, but people of all races, I must admit, and the energy was there was just amazing. The energy was. The force for good, the force for change. This is almost what it made you feel just by standing there. Not even intervening. Just by standing and having a look. And we all when we cycled back to East into Stratford City, and we had a cup of coffee and a cake as you do with cycling. And we were discussing. We thought, no, that was a very powerful move. And it brings about so much sort of passion and power to move forward in a positive direction for better change for the communities that are being affected and that have been affected for hundreds of years. So I think the Black Lives Movement, I think was a stand for good. In all possibilities, to be fair. To raise awareness.
I mean, do you think it might have caused more segregation though?
Absolutely not. No. And now, reason why I say this is because there's two ways of looking at it. Segregation, it means something that's being split in two or two parts or multiple parts. There's one way of looking at that. Someone can say, oh, blacks vs everyone else. but quite rightly, I would say that no, it's blacks for the black community, for not just the black, I would say for everyone of color.
Yeah.
The community of everyone in color is a force for positive change. That's the way I see it. There's two ways of angling this, and I see it as a point of positive movements going forward. Certain things could have done and could have been improved on, as in, I would say, the getting the message across. As recently in the news that I read that the Edward Colston statue, which was taken down, then replaced by a protester with her fist up, a woman of colour with her fist up. I think that at that point, just reading that, I thought that, you know what, they should have put somebody else up more credible up there. And not just put any regular random
I get you.
protester. Showing heartache and pain. I think everyone understands there's a lot of heartache and pain in the community that's been oppressed for hundreds of years. But and then 2-3 days later it got taken down. So I wasn't surprised. So I think certain things could be still taken in a more logical and a more professional manner. To tackle these things.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of it is to do with because it's the youth getting involved and they probably, not sort of having the mindset of taking it in a more professional manner.
Yeah.
But it's, I mean, do you think that it's made an impact, these protests? Or is it now just because we're talking a bit now, it's calmed down, it's calmed down a lot, to be honest with you. Because originally when we were going to do this podcast, it was in the heat of it.
Yes,
right?
Yes.
And now even a few weeks later, it's really kind of trickled, the kind of momentum I don't feel is there. Maybe in America it's still kind of prevalent, but over here especially the media has definitely taken a step back and talking about it. I haven't heard it mentioned in a while in the media.
I think the movement itself was sort of to raise awareness, and I think it's definitely done that. For the most part, I think it's definitely raised awareness. To those who probably wouldn't even batter an eyelid of blacks at all, or those of colour, their struggles in life or in society as we see it today. I think so. It's definitely raised awareness. Now, raising awareness is fantastic. And it's a means to positive change. And I think that it's almost where now I hope those who are in control and who are in management of the Black Lives Matter movement don't stop the momentum. Although the protests and stuff may have calmed down, and there is not many protests now, I don't believe. But I think the movements, the fundamental reason and the aims and the aims and targets still need to be met. And I think those who are in management of it all need to keep that positive movement going forwards. Speak with the local councillors, speak with the industry professionals, speak to political parties, engage with them, and really aim for that shift for change, which is what is really needed. I think I don't think it's to your original question. I don't think it's caused much segregation. Because I mean, initially it seemed like there was this clear divide now, whites versus black. And white people felt that they were being targeted. Which is funny, right? It's weird, isn't it? It's weird, because I mean, those who feel that being targeted, just imagine those whites who felt targeted. Just imagine your whole lineage of people have been targeted for the past 400 years. How would you feel?
Yeah, exactly.
Your forefathers, your ancestors, the full works. I mean, being slaved, being looted, being raped, your sister's being raped, your mum's being raped. These evils actually happen on a regular basis. So to say that,
makes my blood boil, to be honest. to say that, I felt attacked, or I felt against somebody. No, you really need to shift your mindset to really understand what's going on. As we were just mentioning now, lineage and feeling targeted. I'm sure, like I have, you have experienced a lot of racism in your life growing up in this country.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't want to go into like playing the victim and stuff, but like what is one of the, because there's loads of experiences you could probably talk for days.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
But like, what is one that really stood out for you and really kind of where I don't know how to say, like, not made you angry, because all of them make you angry, but like which one really stood out for you that you always remember and you think like, this is sort of motivation for me to make change?
It's good you say this, actually. It's a very good question, because there's been so many like sort of small and large experiences, micro experiences, you used to say, which then sometimes become so common, and then your mind thinks, oh, it's the norm, don't worry, let me
start blanking it out.
You start blanking it out.
Yeah.
And then you have an overdrive in your mind. You have an overdrive in your mind where you think, right, it's okay, I know this guy's lacking of world knowledge and knowledge of people. I'm not going to react in an angry or negative way. So, I mean, one instance that stood out for me personally was when, after I had finished my graduation, my university graduation, and I took to the world, full throttle. You hit the real world running. And this is the point where, you've done your schooling, you've done your college, you've done your education, you are now ready to be a part of the working world as such, to earn a living. So one of the examples I would say is that there was an interview I had after doing the online application and the telephone interview. I had passed, done the online application, and it was for this IT company in London.
Okay, yeah.
And it was all very nice, very nice building, treated very nicely, up until the point we got into the interview room. I took my seat and I started speaking. The first initial conversation was what I do, a little bit about myself, how I found my university studies, what I learned, what was the main things I learned from all my modules, which was very sort of ordinary. As you go about your regular sort of corporate first sort of interview experience. But then near to the end, I was questioned by the interviewer. So why do you grow your beard? Why do you have your turban on? Like, now at the time, I was very hot and fiery. So my reply was pretty much just trying to educate him. In a very sort of calm manner. I don't think I did a very great job of it, but I mean, it was for a junior role. As a junior project manager role. IT project manager. And I just felt it was totally unnecessary to ask me that question. Whilst being still in the interview. Now, I understand if we had conducted the interview and then the interview had initially finished and we took towards outside and we got out of the interview room and I just had a sort of casual conversation.
Informal, conversation.
And then if he had approached me there saying, all right, so I noticed you've got your turban on, or I noticed you've got your beard, or you've grown your beard, what's the reason behind that? But it wasn't at all like that. It was in the interview situation, still in the interview room, and then boom, getting questioned. Why'd you grow your turban? Why'd you grow your beard? Why'd you have your turban on? And I just felt, some people say, Jay, you should have taken it quite as it is, just relaxed and just answered, which I did at the time. But it really angered me because I thought these questions are nothing got to do with the role itself.
Nothing at all.
At all.
Nothing.
I
mean, like, you could easily turn around and say, why are you fat? Why'd you cut your hair?
Well,
why have you got that tattattoo? Like,
100%.
I mean, and those are just trivial stuff. There's more a spiritual, deeper meaning for why you have your
100%.
The star in your beard.
Yes, absolutely.
So, if it was for them in purpose to educate themselves, to learn more, it makes sense. Like I said, in a more kind of informal setting. But that was in your interview.
That was in the interview itself, which is what I felt, and this is why I took it of a negative spin from them. I didn't feel it came from a place of genuine interest.
In all honesty, in an interview, you're always going to be slightly on edge. You're prepared. You're trying to impress these guys, and you're thrown a kind of question like that. you don't know how to answer that. First of all, I'd be like, wait, why? Like, why are you asking that question?
Yeah.
In my head, I'd be thinking this, like, and you almost think like that now they're gonna interview, like they're gonna judge me on that thing.
Yes.
Whatever I answer now, the next words that come out, they're gonna judge me on that.
Yeah.
And you should never feel that. You should never be made to feel like
made to feel like that. Absolutely. And I just felt it was totally uncalled for. It was. I felt it came from a place of dishonesty.
Yeah.
It didn't come from a place of honesty and genuine care or wanting to know.
Yeah.
I believe it came from a place of slur, like, to be honest, to belittle somebody in a way to make you feel very uncomfortable. And that is exactly what happened. I'll be very honest. I've never been, I've not set myself up to take such questions in an interview, professional interview, corporate world, workspace. And you do get caught off guard sometimes. And that was one prominent moment in my sort of, career, shall I say, or the very starting journey of my career. It was these interviews, as we all go for, and I felt that was very incorrect for the interview to say. So that was one prominent point. And to follow on to your question, to how is it to improve on these things? I think what we are doing here, I think, is a fantastic thing. Discussing about these things for the wider people to hear and realise that there is prejudice out there. There is a sense of racism out there, still affecting not just the black community but those who are of colour, who are non-white. I'll be very honest, so there are many elements, and a lot of people are very misinformed. So I think conversations like this really help spark the interest and allow for awareness to be projected to further afield. Really, people could be listening to this all over the world, which I hope they are. And so it's something definitely to think about. Moving forward.
I mean, like just you talking about that experience, like, it reminds me of a lot of the crap that I've dealt with in the corporate setting in London, in the city, as a city worker. I think the city itself is a cesspool for racism.
Right.
It's just prevalent in all levels. Like an Asian, a minority, is not, basically they have got no chance in progressing in their career in the city of London, I believe. It's got better over time, but I've experienced as recent as November last year.
Right.
I walked out of my job. I walked out of my job for it.
Okay.
Racism.
Okay. Damn. I mean,
and this guy who actually, it was someone that I hired and I worked for.
Right.
Ended up getting promoted to be my boss.
Right.
Yeah, and so there's that as well. Then there's when we're hiring new people, he said a few things which it's stupid for me to. I should have just like sorted it out from the beginning.
Right.
Because I knew he was racist. It was just those snide comments, little comments. You feel it's like, in the right context, that's super racist. But,
absolutely.
But you can't really pin them to it because they've said it in such a way which is really subtle, and he can easily turn around and say, "Oh no, I didn't mean it like that," and then it's just brushed off. Like,
absolutely,
So I never raised it initially when I saw the first initial signs of it, from this guy, and there was just one moment, and he didn't think I was in the room, basically,
right,
and he was talking to two other white people,
right,
and it was an Indian company that we worked for, but in the UK,
right,
and so the bosses, like the shareholders and the leadership, were actually Indian, and they had to do presentations to them, overseas, like in India.
Yes.
So these people were talking about how they don't like the bosses and stuff, right?
Yes.
Which is quite normal anyway, regardless of colour.
Right.
But that guy says to one of the girls there that was saying, like, they don't listen to me because I'm a woman, this and that. So that's another conversation about equality of men and women in work. That's one other conversation, But then he was like, just tell them you're going to bring back the British Raj and I'm sure they'll shut up.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So that to me, That's just
that's a sort of that is definitely a
that's not
direct,
ignorance. That's
a definite blow.
Yeah, he's a well-informed guy. He knows the history of British colonialism
Yeah.
in India. To have to even say British, I tell you now, a lot of British white people would not know. Like the youth now would not know what British Raj means.
Yeah, absolutely, yes.
But he's well-informed, so to say that comment is very that was malicious.
Yeah, absolutely. It's quite rightly, I would say, is unacceptable. Quite rightly.
And it was the end of the day that day working there anyway. But I came in the next morning, grabbed my stuff, went to HR, said, "This is me terminating my contract because of what's happened. I'm out. You can deal with him how you want. I know you're not going to do anything."
Yeah, absolutely.
Because there's no point, because I don't want to play the victim.
Yeah.
I was taking control in that situation, not going to HR. But this guy was being racist, and he didn't realise I was in the room. And he even is when I walked out, he saw that I was there, and I heard him talk to the other guy saying, "Oh, one day I'm going to get sacked for something I say at work." Right. But he was fully aware about what he was doing and what he was saying. Yeah. And,
in a very sly manner. I would use the word sly. Yeah. Because the people like this would instigate. They're sort of very malicious instigators. Yeah. So they would say something. They would say a term as the British Raj or something along those lines. Yeah. To communities that they know they want to directly or indirectly affect. Yeah. And upset. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know the whole context of the whole conversation, but in any case, to say that I'll get the British Raj back or remind him of the British Raj.
He was like encouraging someone at work to, as a joke maybe, but still having their own jokes between them, saying, "Oh, we should just threaten them with saying that we're going to bring back the British Raj," and then they'll be shaking in their boots, sort of thing. Right. Because they know the British are going to come, joking about British come back and taking over, enslaving Indians. So
even if he is taking that as from a joking manner, he needs to understand that the joke itself, and if you want to, mask it behind banter, the word banter, which is what a lot of things get slipped under. A lot of racism, a lot of slurs, and a lot of non-acceptable things get slipped under. I think that it needs to be there needs to be more debate or more conversation on this around this area, because it's to distinguish between banter or you are actually rightly being a very foolish individual in the attempts to hurt other people's sentiments and historical lineage.
Yeah, but that is my example of how, a lot of white people in Britain, in the UK, say that the racism is not a big issue here, but I say it is still there, but the Brits have just become really good at hiding it under this kind of guise of banter, right?
Yes.
This is what I'm saying. So him saying those words, British Raj, it's very he's not said any specific words like brown people, Indians, he's not said a racial slur. Yeah. But he's very cleverly said something that implies.
Yes. So what the British Raj stood for was a divide and conquer. Yeah. The British Raj was absolutely at a point where taking over a country, ruling the country for over a period of 200 years. Yeah. Recreating or mixing and sort of mixing and recreating, dividing and conquering social status, class, different hierarchical structures,
stealing from the country all the resources, looting the country, looting, raping, looting, pillaging. They're no different to barbarians, Vikings. Going around they're just making themselves look superior. Superior.
Yeah, and this is people argue that British Raj was a good thing to happen to India, and now look, my angle on this is when people do throw the counter argument is that okay, absolutely, if that's what you believe, you're entitled to believe that, but you must be aware of the ills that they enforced upon the country itself, the looting, the stealing of resources, the mass rape, the mass murders, the mass takeover, which was taken on a very evil eye, and I use the word evil to lightly explain, because there's not more of a stronger word that I can think of in the manner that the Brits had come into India and taken over. Now, people would counter with saying they built the railways, they built X, Y, and Z there, which is fantastic. They did build the railways, and kudos to them for that.
Yeah.
Why? Is because they are still using them now today. Okay, fine, they're using them today, but they only initially built them for their own good.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the good of the people of the land that they were
it was to
ruling.
transport the stuff they were looting from
Yes.
us, right?
This is exactly it. So they were taking from Calcutta to Punjab, from different areas in India. They had created these railways to take resources from place A to B, and then take them to the shipments and have them shipped off to the Brits. So
Yeah.
it's the real reasoning behind it all. You've got to really focus on the reasoning behind it all. It was all for their own greater good.
Yeah.
It wasn't for the good of the people of the land that they were ruling.
No.
So as long as people can understand that, then I think you're on a good basis of moving forward.
Yeah,
with,
you can.
with the understanding.
You can start to think in the right direction.
Absolutely.
But so yeah, I mean, like, so yeah, we've kind of talked about all the issues and highlighted them, even out a couple of experiences of our own, quite recent. How can we make a change, or what's the way forward? Because the first like step to solving a problem, like with anything in any case, is identifying there is a problem. I still think we're at a place where we're still trying to get people to admit there is a problem. But just say hypothetically, the world knows now there is this problem, this systemic racism is ingrained into our society. Like the images we see in TV, things people say, the way we look at stuff, fashion, everything like that. It's all kind of ingrained in us, TV, media, everything. What are the steps forward? Like we're not going to solve the world's problem in this conversation,
absolutely not.
We can start a conversation about it.
Yeah.
We can start a conversation about it.
I think that is it. That is a positive start.
Yeah.
To start the conversation about moving forwards, and analysing and understanding the concept of racism, and how it can be eradicated, if at all it can be. Now, I'll make it clear from the get-go that not all white people are racist, but the system that this country is based on, the media outlets we have, the corporate sector, the government, the policies, the way nurses are treated in the NHS, all have racist undertones. So some may not see it, some may, but if one cannot see this, then they may need to look at the races within. This is what I say. So I largely would say not all white people are racist.
Yeah.
So let me just make that clear. And I think moving forwards, I think more discussion needs to be taken place. Not just discussion. I think more. We need to start to develop ideas through discussion, through positive debates, and get these ideas and find out how we can filter through these ideas to push forwards and enforce these ideas for the positive way, to get these ideas out there. For example, the corporate sector. There was this ruling out in policy a few years ago that how there needs to be a checklist of a certain number of ethnic people working in companies. That is a very weak, I would say, a very weak way to say, oh, we are multicultural, we accept all races and
it's
stuff.
racist in itself. Just as having to enforce to have cultural diversity, you got to. Why don't you educate the people to not be to have unbiased thinking?
Absolutely, this is it. So I think that this is just a sort of a farce, basically, to say, oh yeah, we are doing something about it, when really and truly they're not. They're not
solving the core issue.
Yeah.
They're just putting a plaster on a leak.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. So I think that I think we should hold workshops. We should work into different communities, encourage debates, discussions, open discussions, friendly discussions. As I say, it's not a time to argue or get heated up and start firing shots.
Yeah.
As such, vocal shots. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing that will happen anyway.
Yeah,
But to start the conversation is a definitely good start. So like, there's this article that I read. It's on theatlantic.com. I think it's the author is like John Rice. Just written recently, 21st of June. It was published.
Right.
And it kind of, just in summary, it kind of goes through the difference. The title of the article is "The Difference Between First Degree Racism and Third Degree Racism."
Oh, so they're different degrees now.
Yeah. So,
wow.
what he's kind of tried to do here is basically look at racism as a crime, like murder,
Yeah.
and then defining the attributes of like the levels of racism someone is committing.
Right.
Because if we do that, then we can easily point out that's first degree racism. That guy literally called this guy the N-word.
Right.
And you can point that out. You can actually put it as a criminal, like how you would in a murder trial case, right?
Right.
Then you've got third degree racism, which is what I experienced with this guy saying about the British Raj, which is like a really roundabout way of kind of implying racism.
Yeah.
Or when you hire someone not picking the ethnic guy just because of his colour of skin, but having some really weak reasons for it, that's kind of like third degree racism. You're not really being racist directly to the person, but you're robbing that person of opportunities because of the colour of the skin or anything else.
Yes.
So this article is really good, and I might link this in the podcast notes. But this goes through basically defining the levels or the types of racism people commit, and then that way, if we can define that and everyone can agree on it, we can actually then recognise what is or when racism is being committed.
That sounds fantastic. I mean, I think that is a very I think it's a very good thing.
Yeah.
In terms of breaking it down.
Yeah.
And having sort of a deeper understanding about it all, like you say, first degree, second degree, third degree, and he's breaks it down into sections.
Yeah.
To define, to help the somebody to define at what level are you being racist at. Do you know what I mean? How direct or how indirect are you, like you say, being a roundabout way. So I think that is quite good. But then again, racism is racism.
It is like same as like murder is murder, right?
Murder is absolutely murder. Just no way to say, oh, that's second degree murder or third degree. Murder is murder.
Yeah.
A life killed, a life killed.
Yeah, someone's died. Yeah,
someone
has been murdered, or someone's been like a racist act has been committed. Like you can't really deny that. That's cool.
Absolutely.
But
absolutely,
I mean the plus side of this is like, you don't want to be there any room for debate or argument if a racist act has been committed.
Yes.
You don't want the what if people to come in like, but no. It's not the what ifs. It's the no because, or yes because.
Yes.
Those people basically excusing racism for other reasons. It's like, no, I didn't mean it that way. I meant it in this way. Or oh no, because of this, I said this.
Trying to find an escape.
Like oh no, I've got loads of black friends, so I can't be racist. Yes. Those kind of arguments.
Yeah.
You need to squash that.
Yeah.
And this kind of system. I mean, I've read the full article, but it's quite a long one, and I'll definitely link it because it's a good read.
I think you definitely should link that. That's quite a definite intellectual read, that.
Yeah.
So I mean, and that helps break down different levels, and it will ultimately bring about light on the topic itself. So which then can help for a positive change.
Yeah, because I mean, then you can measure, right, the amount of racism there is. If you can define what it is, then you can measure and say, okay, that was racism, that's first degree, that's third degree. You can actually then measure the amount of racism there is, or how racist someone is.
Yeah. And
really kind of, when it becomes scientific, you take emotion out of it, and that's what needs to happen to racism. Yeah. It needs to be scientific. It needs to be like factual thing, like laid down, where there's no emotion in this now. Forget like being angry about being having a life where you've just been racist too, and people trying to defend themselves on not being racist. You want to squash all the emotion out of it. Here's a scientific reason. You did the X, Y, Z, so this means racist.
Yeah.
That's it. Very simple.
Very direct. Very sort of direct and straight to the point.
Yeah. But at the same time, this is not to catch people out and to target people. White people specifically. This is for everyone, and this is, I guess, a way to move forward, because it's a hate crime.
Oh yes.
Racism is a hate crime.
Hate crime is. Yeah.
And hate crime is not defined as well, like properly.
Yeah.
I believe. I mean, I was about to go on another story, but I was attacked when I was in college, by for being a Singh by like a Muslim gang, a Pakistani gang.
Right.
Yeah. And when I told the police were questioning me, I said they targeted me and my friends because we were Sikh.
Right.
And they're
right,
like,
okay.
We said this is racist. They can't be racist. You're both brown. I was like, okay, this is a hate crime. They're prejudice, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
They targeted us for our religion, or for the way we look.
Terrible.
And they said no, we can't put it down as a hate crime. This was just a bunch of these guys just robbed you. They mugged you. That's it. There was no other reason.
There's no other reason. Yeah.
They didn't take much from us anyway. They did ask to take some or try to take our stuff, but that wasn't their aim.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, there is. I mean, even in the policing system, I think again we have these systems in place. You see, the police system, the political system, the social and cultural systems that the people of the land abide by and work towards and with. Now, you see, without getting it to outside the umbrella, I think the point of these systems which are in place are to help move away. I would think to move away from the bad in society. So if something goes wrong, you call the police. They come here. They're here for your support, your help, and your guidance moving forward.
Yeah.
Now it's these very systems that need to be readdressed. They need to be taken back to the drawing board, and I believe that it needs to be taken back to the drawing board and re-understand and reanalyze with much focus and information to introduce new policies, to introduce new ways of working for the current and future generations, cultures, societies. So it's almost like I think it's a massive, absolute massive, gigantic task at hand.
Yeah.
But it's not to say that it can't be done.
No.
If the right people are in the right space, if we have the right movements going forward, I think there is positive change that can be happening, can be done.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I like your idea of doing workshops and stuff. Kind of training, I think a good start is the city. That would be where I think it would be most effective, because that's where I see it the most.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's in all aspects of life anyway, generally.
Yeah, absolutely.
Workshops is a good start.
I think you're absolutely right. Workshops are a good start. And maybe I think, going around into the corporate companies and just having an open discussion for an hour.
Yeah.
Say we would like to have a discussion about race and bring factual information across, as well as ideas of moving forward in a positive direction, and just having these conversations, I think would be a good idea.
Yeah.
To go around, connect your Mac, have a presentation.
Yeah.
Takes about half an hour,
Yeah.
and it could spark something somewhere.
Yeah.
For moving change positively.
Yeah.
Or it could just fall on deaf ears, but we hope not. And the process of this change is to actually move forwards positively, and then you can have a relay run back with them saying, we'll discuss with you in the next coming weeks what you thought of it, what you thought of the discussion, what did you take away from the discussion, and how would you implement it, or what would you implement in your working culture moving forward. And this will vary from business to business.
Yeah.
So I think that may, it may sound all sort of fairy tale-ish, but no, I think if we are focused, if we're dedicated, we can definitely go ahead and have these conversations. Wherever you work, even in the corporate world, have these discussions openly and very respectfully. Don't get your emotions involved. Get factual information involved, and get logical solutions implemented.
Yeah.
And keep that as your main primary focus. And I think more of the coloured people who work in corporate spaces in all areas need to do more of this. I believe to help move forwards.
Yeah, 100%.
Because if these conversations are not happening, and they're only happening between community groups and friends and family, then although they're happening there, which is fantastic, and those community groups and those friends and families are becoming more the wiser. But then, you go out by your daily life, you go and work. These conversations are not happening where they need to be.
Yeah.
In some respects.
Yeah.
So if these conversations are happening in workspaces, I think it's a fantastic idea.
It's a good start, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, like, everyone needs to have a conversation with their families as well. I've seen online on social media that, white kids in America are speaking to their parents about these issues because they are more forward thinking than their parents are.
Yeah.
And they're trying to kind of talk their parents around. And I think it's a good start. Like, obviously, don't do it for the likes and the comments and stuff, which a lot of these kids are doing.
No. Yeah,
they're trying to get their social media accounts going. But it needs to be, even that makes it a bit like, that awareness is being like spread, which is great. Even though the intention there is not maybe like 100% pure, at least they're spreading the sort of the awareness of it. They're asking tough questions. I think we have to ask the tough questions now. Yeah,
I mean, we say they are tough, but then at the same time, they're coming from a place of truth.
Yeah.
So honesty, a genuine interest.
Yeah.
So I think these are the sort of elements in mind that need to be there when having these discussions.
Yeah.
So yes, they are tough, and it's not easy to question, but equally they're very important to discuss and to question. So I think that's a fantastic thing. I mean, again, like we discussed a bit earlier about the British Empire. As evil as I think it's probably one of the most violent empires in the world.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But it's barbaric.
It is barbaric.
I can't think of any other word, evil or barbaric, and barbaric all mixed in one. I don't know if there's a stronger word anyone that can put to it. But
not in English anyway.
Yeah, not in English. Yeah, definitely not in English. But English is very limited, you see.
Yeah.
So to express to somebody the deeper meaning of a cosmic energy is very difficult.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think it was all the British Empire. Personally, I believe it's all largely evil.
Yeah.
To its absolute maximum possibilities.
To its core, mate. It's right to the core.
Absolutely.
Of its whole.
Without a question of a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the fact, I would say,
Yeah.
It's
I mean, I think I'll just let's try and end with a positive.
Yeah.
So I mean, like, I do believe there's hope. I have seen some change.
Yeah.
Like, even myself, I started working recently in a new job, and I've already got promotion, and I was shocked because I've worked my arse off for 15 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that too? No, it's not 15 years. So 10 years.
Okay.
Yeah. Almost 15 years. What am I talking about? I'm like 36 now. Yeah. Man, it's time flies by. So yeah, for about 15 years, I've been working my ass off in the corporate world, you can say, and I jumped through so many hoops in a lot of different jobs, and was promised promotions and doing hitting all the marks. Yeah. And in here, within 2 months, I've got it because the people that are there, it's a very diverse company. They're a small startup, but they're very diverse, and they recognise and they just saw it straight away.
Right.
That they're going to put me in a position that they should be in.
Right. Yeah? Right. Okay.
And I'm seeing positive change. That's me personally. That's just my personal, but also just the conversations that are happening about it as well everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm seeing positive change. It's good to see that there is I think it's maybe like due to COVID and everything as well.
Yeah.
Everyone being indoors and being more online or more media, that they are sharing more, and these conversations are being spread, faster globally.
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see that there's change, and there is hope. There is hope. I mean, like, it's like you said, we've had how many hundreds of years of systemic racism. This whole system that we're living in, that we live in a day-to-day basis, is like ingrained in our society, but chipping away at it slowly. Just I see hope. What do you think?
I mean, I actually sort of agree with what you said there, but I must say, that it's just not as an ending note here, but in addition to the conversation as from beginning to end.
Yeah.
I must say that I do recognise that this country's wealth, finances, infrastructure, royal family, stature is built off the backs of countless slaves.
Yeah.
Many who have never made it to their final destination. The British Empire was one of the most brutal, violent empires ever. Now, in saying this and in recognising this, I believe that once we are able to understand and focus our primary topic from this moving forwards, we can then start to break down possibilities of positive change.
Yeah.
Now, as brutal and as violent as the British Empire was, in today's society, there is, like you said, systemic racism following through from that. Now, I would definitely say that there is positive movements going forward. There is possibilities.
Yeah.
But we have to tune our minds. We have to tune ourselves to think positively first. If we don't tune ourselves to think positively, then we can't expect a positive outcome.
That's right.
So it's you have to look within. You have to realise, and you have to do a lot of research, a lot of reading. Just be open to read, because the more you read, the more you realise, and the more you discuss, is you're exposing yourself to these this new information, which has already been there. So I think yes, absolutely. Moving forwards, there is possibility, and there is positive movements going forwards. And from now onwards, I would say that it has sparked, just the initial conversation has sparked the idea in people's minds, I believe, to move forwards in a positive way, to be a bit more aware. I would say to be a bit more aware moving forwards.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I mean, what would your this will be ending note, I think. What would your ideal world look like? This is just like, Cloud9 thinking, whatever you would like. What would you see?
Don't ask me about ideal world.
What would you see like an ideal world, like a realistic one?
A realistic ideal world is where it's a very difficult one, but I would say where the people of the land are living in peace.
Yeah.
And peace is projected, and a fair level of, I would say, just from a very personal level, it's like just a fair communication point. Without being intruding, without hurting somebody.
Yeah.
So I would say peace is probably the prominent word here moving forwards, and how we can replicate that, or how we can project more of that in the society, in structures.
Peaceful living. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think we're a long way off it. I'll be very honest.
It's a tough one. I mean,
it's a very tough. What about yourself?
It's a bit of like a Miss World answer, isn't it? Like
it is. It's a difficult one.
Yeah.
Everyone wants peace, man. But I mean, are we going to get it?
Yeah. That's true. It's a tough one. I mean, the way I thought about it is that to me, an ideal world would be that everyone understands each other's differences. Like, I don't think we should all, because there's a lot of there's also talk about being colorblind, not seeing color. I think that's the wrong way to go.
Yeah,
I'm against that. I'm very anti being colorblind, because I'm terming it colorblind because some people like to say, oh, I don't see black, Asian, blah, 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 Arab, whatever. But I think that's wrong. You need to look at someone, know what they are, understand their culture, their differences,
absolutely,
and celebrate it in a positive way.
And if you're blinded to that, then you're not. You're
totally ignoring everything. Yeah. That means you're ignorant to it.
Absolutely, I agree.
Yeah.
You're ignorant, and you are putting a blind canvas on it.
Yeah. So what I would like to see as an ideal world is that people actually understand other, differences, different cultures, learn about, educate themselves. A more educated world is good for the whole planet. Trust me. Absolutely. I mean, like we all know that would be the case.
Yes.
So just being able to understand each other's cultures, and if you don't, be curious about learning about it.
That's correct. Yes.
And that would be, for me, would be like the ideal world where it's like differences are celebrated. So like imagine like what one day I would see like the Parliament. Yeah, not everyone wearing Western suits, 3-piece suits. No, everyone in their own cultural background garments. Right. Going to Parliament because they're representing their community and their culture, and celebrating that, and that seeing a truly multicultural, government, Parliament.
Yes,
that will be for me like the idea. That will be like wow.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting point you put out there, for people to visit the establishment with their cultural heritage clothing.
Yeah.
And I think there is nothing wrong with that, to be fair.
Yeah.
And that's probably something that should be sort of looked at. But then again, from the grand scheme of things, a very formal, very professional outlay of a visual person in the city is seen to be in a 3-piece suit.
Yeah.
Which again stems from, I think, the Italians.
Yeah, it's
so it's almost like, what is British?
Yeah.
I put a question up a few years ago. British tea, is there ever such a thing? Nobody could ever answer that. So, it's almost like the Brits do take things, have taken things from different places and stuff,
and make it their own,
and try to make it their own.
Yeah.
So I think that's a good way of showing this, that you are still connected to your roots, and you have no shame in that.
Yeah, and then like seeing that would mean that everyone accepts each other for their background. And that would be the ideal.
Yeah. So educating and educating and understanding people's differences, and living respectfully and peacefully within those means.
Yeah.
I think that would be an ideal sort of, close to ideal sort of world.
And that's a great ending note, I think. There, I think we should sort of.
Absolutely.
Thanks, Jazz. Thanks a lot for this, man. We definitely have to do this again.
Yes, absolutely. Let me know when the next one is, and we're down.
Definitely. We'll pick another deep topic to go into.
Yes. There is a few that in the pipeline. I have arranged with a few others, but we shall definitely continue this.
Wicked.
In the weeks to come.
All right. Cheers. Nice.
Cool. All the best.